So I think historically the most important thing, Chord Electronics was actually an amplifier manufacturer from the get-go. So John Franks, who's the owner, he started out developing these amplifiers after he'd been working in aerospace technology developing his own power supplies. His criticism or observation with a lot of amplifiers was they were using a toroid, and with that they are by default relatively slow. They only work to the speed of the frequency of the mains. So what John wanted to do was develop an amplifier that was much faster, had better timing, and to do that he wanted to use high frequency switch mode power supplies. And go back in time, that was quite a dirty word because they're technically very noisy. Now, John Franks has a very simple mindset. It's like if a product has a problem, don't put a sticking plaster on the problem, i.e. put another box to cure the problem. Fix the problem, engineer the problem out of it. So developing his own high frequency switch mode power supplies, he effectively filters the mains coming into the power supply, and he filters the mains coming out of the power supply. So there's no noise injected into any of the more sensitive areas of the equipment. They work at incredibly high frequency, so they can basically keep up with the timing and changing of music, which is so critical. And we obviously could delve a lot deeper into it, but to keep it relatively short and as simple as I can, the high frequency switch mode power supply that John developed it's incredibly fast, it's incredibly clean and quiet. It works on a special way of handling power, whereas if an amplifier is drawing too much current because the music is particularly demanding, a perfect example is a huge pair of YG Titans with orchestral or electronic music. You want the amplifier to maintain that sound stage and speed at the same time. So the way the amplifiers actually deliver the power, you get that at whatever the volume and no matter how hard you push them. So our amplifiers don't clip, they're flat, I believe to 3 or 4 hertz. We use a lot of capacitors to store and then charge and discharge, because a lot of capacitors are faster than one large photogenic capacitor going, oh, look at the size of this, but it's a bucket, it's a well that needs emptying and filling. So lots of smaller ones, more speed. Then there's the feed forward error correction system, which is effectively in the ultima range. What that does is it looks at the signal coming in, and look, all amplifiers create noise. All of them do, but to some more than others. And our amplifiers are pretty quiet anyway, but it's how do you eliminate what little noise they do make. So when the signal comes in, it monitors that signal coming through each amplification stage and looks at the signal coming out and is able to, by mirroring it, see the artifacts introduced and erase them. So what you're getting effectively is as close to the original signal coming in, that's then leaving the amplifier. So the owner of the company, the owner, designer of all the analog equipment and the aesthetic is John Franks. He's the single owner, has been since day one. He works with Rob Watts, who does the digital design, but John will then package it as well. So he's always inspired by architecture. He likes watches. You'll see the chassis is actually a small, the actual component, the piece that holds the amplification, for example, that's actually the chassis of the old black boxes used on aeroplanes, which is going back to his heritage making power supplies for aeroplanes. So every product we make or he makes and designs has a visual cue to something that he's interested in, something that he holds dear to himself. So I mean, it does polarize. I love it, quite frankly. I was actually a customer, then a retailer, and then I got the opportunity to work for Chord Electronics. So I love the product. I've always enjoyed it. It gives me what I want from music. And I love the design cues, you know. I am very fortunate, I own the Dave DAC and I really like its kind of form and function. And you know, not everyone wants the biggest footprint in the world or the biggest product. Some people do. We cater for that, but we also try and make something just a little bit more interesting, something that's actually something to look at. At the end of the day, when you turn it off, you've still got to look at it. I am a big fan of the speaker brand. We actually have a pair in our head office on our reference system on the top floor. Do you know, we've not been working together too long, but I really like the team. They're really friendly, very knowledgeable, really hardworking. You know, the guys were here at like 5 a.m. and setting this lot up is a task, and then breaking down at the end. To see the passion that these guys have for their music and how they want to present, and the obvious affection the customers have for them, I really wanted to make sure that I was sticking around to be a part of it, because it's infectious. You know, every customer that I've met all speak really highly of Raw. You know, I visited the shops a couple of times, and there's just this vibe of people who love music, who like what they do, and want to impart that passion for music and how to get the best from it to the end user. And yeah, I'm delighted to be here and with them, really am.